Mrs. Heisey, and today I am going to show you guys the 3-step sanding process. Now, when you are completing a project, you're going to want to make it look really nice. So at the end of it, you're going to do what's called a 3-step sanding process. Now right here, I just have a board here today. It's nothing fancy or anything like that, but just so I can show you guys the process. The first thing you want to do is get your 3 types of sandpaper. We have an 80 grit sandpaper, we have a 120 grit sandpaper, and we have a 220 grit. The thing you're going to notice just by looking at these is you're going to be able to tell that they're different colors. The other thing is if you were to actually feel them, you would feel that the texture is much different. On our 80 grit, which is our darkest one, this is where it's going to take off all of our impurities on the wood. We're going to be able to get out pencil marks, fingerprints, different things like that. This one's going to do most of the work for us. All right, the 120 is going to help smooth that out, and the 220 is going to make it extra smooth so when we go to paint or stain our projects, everything's going to look really nice. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out by, I'm going to take my material, I like to place it inside of a vise. Do you have to? No. There's probably not enough vices in your classroom for everybody to use one, but if there is, I would suggest using one. Then you're going to realize which direction is our grain pattern going in. All right, when I place this in here, I want to make sure I have it raised up a little bit so I don't hurt my fingers, and when I'm sanding, I don't want to jam them into the table. Okay? I'm simply going to make sure I have safety glasses on. I also like to use a sanding block if I have larger surfaces that I'm going to be sanding on. I take a sanding block and I just simply wrap my sandpaper around that, and then I'm just going to place this on here. I need to realize what direction my grain pattern is going in, and I want to follow that. If I go against the grain in the opposite direction, it's just going to scratch up the wood, and when I go to put a finish on here, you're going to be able to recognize all those scratches because it'll absorb into the wood a little bit differently. All right, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to place it on here, and I'm simply going to go with the grain, and I need to add pressure. All right, when you're doing this, it's not one of those things where you can just sit and lightly go back and forth. You will get nothing accomplished. I've had students who've sat here for 3 days trying to sand a project and said, but it just doesn't work, it just doesn't work. It does work. You have to put the effort into it, all right? So I'm just simply going to do one side, get it nice and smooth, make sure it looks nice and clean, no pencil lines, nothing on there. Then I would go ahead and I'm going to do my 120. And this starts to smooth everything out. That 80 grit makes it a little bit rough. So this is smoothing it all out. And then my last one is the 220. Simply wrap around. And this just smooths everything out, makes it look really nice, feel good. And voila, I have it. Now, don't forget, you need to do the face of your piece, you need to do the ends of your piece, you need to do the opposite side of it, you need to do every part of your material. All right? Now, putting it in the vise, it's pretty easy. I have an extra little piece here that this is not going to fit inside the vise. If I do, it would actually crush this piece. So here, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can lay your sandpaper on the table, then you can take your object and you can simply rub it against that in the way of the grain, making sure you go with the grain. You could do it that way. Or you could just hold it in your hand too and sand like that. It's completely up to you. But make sure whatever you do, you need to complete your 3-step sanding process. Right? If you have any questions or if you notice that the sandpaper is running low or we're out of it or anything like that, please let the teachers know and we can help you out.